I've heard different stories for men's retreats for how they try to get men to bond and to break that
Yeah.
down. I've heard a lot of
Yep.
like this. I think it's the Mankind Project, which I've heard some like
Uh-huh.
very
Yep.
mixed reviews
Sure.
for the
Yeah.
culty vibes, and I'll just leave it there. But
Culty
there's some sort
vibes,
of like really
militarist. Yeah.
militaristic, really intense,
Yep.
really
Yep.
archaic in a lot of ways. See some of these ideas that they put these guys through.
Sure.
Um, and listen, if it helps someone, I think it's great. I don't think it's something that I
Totally.
would subscribe to, but I would say whatever doorway that would help somebody open up, and I think some would be tougher shells to crack than
Yeah.
others. But I found like anytime, like even some of the more stoic men that I know, when they felt emotionally safe around someone, they
Hmm.
would
Hmm.
they have been more likely to open up. Where for whatever reason, their whole life they felt that they
Hmm.
couldn't do that, and every time they did open up to somebody or they were vulnerable, they were kind of
Yeah.
like emotionally slapped down as if that's
Yep.
not okay. And so there
Totally.
becomes this like trigger response or suppression response at any time you feel like you have to have a feeling, it's like nope, and that just gets pushed right back down into the dungeon. So I think it's great no matter if it's a workout program or however people do that to connect. But
Yeah.
I would love to see in the future just because women have had their revolution and that revolution is
Yeah.
ongoing for
Yeah.
very justifiable reasons. I would
Yeah.
love to see men have a bit of a emotional revolution where it's not
How? Yes.
it's not saying that like men have to become feminine or all that bullshit you hear from whatever YouTube
100%.
account, but like this idea that men can sit together and just the
Yep.
simplest thing of like just having a conversation about like how are you doing. Like
Exactly, man.
how is that thing that you were struggling with, are you okay? Like I think it takes so much steam off the pot just to know that someone gives a shit about how
Totally.
you're doing. When you're doing these, how do the
Yeah.
check-in calls work? Is it like a call every
Yeah.
day? Like do you call or do you have like someone that on your team that calls? How do those normally go?
Absolutely. So I love what you said there too. And if I could just touch on that for 1 second, well, an interesting thing that we learned through some other podcasts we've done is women talk eye to eye, they talk face to face, and that's kind of how they, how are you doing, Cindy? And that's their eye contact, and that's how they talk, and that's how they open up. Men are side by side. Men don't. That's not how you interact, and you can break down and talk to a man about his problems, right? Or something that he's doing. How are you doing? Oh, I'm doing good, thanks. Get deeper, and the way to get deeper is to do it side by side. What I mean by that, and this is what I do and interact with some of the business meetings that I like to have, are take them mountain biking, take them hiking, take them walking, and walking legitimately physically side by side. That's when most men open up. They're doing something different. They're doing something in a place and space that they feel comfortable with.
Right.
So I just wanted to add that little color there because it's really interesting if you start to watch the dynamics of how men interact versus women. And we work side
Right.
by side. Females work eye to eye. Not to say that's everybody, but that's a great way to break down that barrier. Um,
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because I think about that a lot because I have heard that before, and like,
yep.
well, I'm really grateful. A lot of relationships that I have with my buddies, we do just talk about our lives, etc. And
Sure.
like,
Yeah,
how are you doing?
that's
Checking in
amazing.
and all
Yeah.
these things. And either I will or someone else will always level up a little bit to be like, hey, are you okay? Like, let's talk with this a little bit. Do you need
Dive
anything?
deeper. Yeah, double
No?
click into
Okay.
that. Yeah,
Okay. If
for
not,
sure.
yeah, double click into that is great. I love
Yep.
double click into
Yep.
that.